Hey everybody, welcome to Woodworking Wisdom. My name's Colin Way, and we've got Ben on questions today, and the theme of today is all about gonks. So if you don't know what gonks are, and I just like saying the word gonks, it's just an idea, nothing of my idea really. I've got the inspiration from doing these through Emma, the tiny turner. Her website is a must if you want to attempt one of these. She does all the material for the beards. She does kits on how to make them, and she was doing videos and streaming about making gonks a long time ago. They're not a new idea, however. They have been around a long time. Norwegian gnomes, some people call them, but they're these little furry figures. Quite fun. I'm going to get a few of them up on screen just to show you. There we are. Oh, this viewfinder inactive. I can guarantee it's not, but out the way. There we are. We must work on trying to get rid of that, Ben, with our technical abilities. There we are. There's one idea. There's a little Christmassy. I was going to open today with Merry Christmas, everybody, but Ben said I wasn't allowed to just yet, so we'll give it a few more weeks before I go full into Christmas. But here we are. Gonks is my closest attempt at Christmas at the moment. Even though by this little character you can see it's not related at all. We're going to do one of these. We're going to do a little Viking. Everybody, hopefully, if you've seen any of my videos before, you know I'm a little bit of a Viking freak. Probably Nick Agar's problem that was. He's inspired me to like all things Viking, or Chris Fisher, one of them between them. And I've done a lot of smokers that are Viking inspired as well. But the real reason that I like doing things like Viking is because it's full of character. So you can make a character look like the suggested theme if you embellish him in the right way. And we've got lots of tools to embellish metal effects, things like that. And I'm going to go heavily into Chromacraft, just do a couple of these as well. But don't forget, like I said, look at the Tiny Turner's website. She is selling all of the bits, the beards, and I bought a ton. I'm going to have a whole army of gonks. So packs of furry beards, which you can get 2 or 3 beards out of one piece. That was a packet of 10 for a tenner, which is ridiculous, you know. So a packet of 10 beards. I bought a load of singles. Not only does she do like the natural colors, but let's go close up to this one, Ben. You get all these lovely, funky little glittery colors. You can get a luminescent beards, all sorts of really funky colors. We'll show you how to do beard. We'll show you how to do beards in a second. Okay, but we need to do some turning first. So let me get rid of our Vikings. We're going to copy that one, that little Viking gonk first. It's good to hear, actually. It's good to hear that a lot of you have started your Christmas making. Bob, well done. Like me, started a few months ago. My Christmas starts at March. Usually ends sort of, I don't know, towards the middle of December before we start again. So just gives you an idea. If you're making Christmas themed products all the time, you're pretty much making them throughout the year. And so you have to enjoy Christmas like I do. Okay, let's get started. So in terms of size for these, and I've adapted to suit my own turning and a few of my own tools and things like that. So I'm starting off with a blank here. And incidentally, I've rounded all these down ready, so you don't have to watch me round everything down, take corners off, all those sorts of things. So I've rounded the blank down, and I've created a hole point for my chuck. I'm using the new SK100 chuck, so the solid body chuck with the C jaws. And I've got a blank, which is around about 65 mil. So what's an inch? 65 mil is about inch and a half ish and a bit more. Sorry, 2.5 inch and a bit more. And I'm going to make the length of the bodies here about 60 mil, which seems to work for the beards that we've got, or for the fake fur that we've got. So that length. So we're going to start off by just roughing down. So look what I've done already. I normally like to cut things to perfect size and hold them between centers. However, it's just a lot easier for this project if we have them a little bit longer. Turn your piece and pass it off. It just works. Don't worry, though. The scrap I can use for other things, especially this one you'll see in a minute. So I'm going to clean this surface off. We're going to clean that up. Then I'm going to cut the shape, and then we can move on from there. So let's get my goggles, put my goggles on a second, and let's go. So let's start with a nice, in fact, let me turn that off again. Let me start with a tool rest a little bit higher than that. I'm going to do a skew cut with a bowl gouge. You've seen me do these before. That means dropping the handle low, turning the flute inward. There we are. And running along the blank. So it's just using the gouge like a skew before we start rounding over. Now, let me just get one of the gonks that I've made already. We'll show you the rough sort of shape. Well, not the rough shape. We'll show you the shape. You can see here what sort of shape we've got for the back. Okay, so it's a fairly domed piece. So a nice long curve on this top side and a fairly sharp curve on the bottom. I have found, though, I mean, they do rock a little bit. So I'm going to probably flatten this one, or not probably. I'm going to flatten the bottom of this off so it sits a little bit better. However, again, if you look on Emma's videos and on her site, you'll see that she does some of them that you can hang from the trees. So a little hook here, in which case, yes, absolutely round off. You don't need any flat on the bottom at all. Okay, so let me just round over. I'll do a little flat base to it. I'll go with a smaller gouge for that, so a little 1/4 inch. We're going to do a little bit of airbrushing on these as well. A little bit of chroma gilt. So a nice sharp base. There we are. Then I'm just going to flatten that bottom off. There we are. So we got our initial shape. So we got a nice round domed bottom here, and we got a flat base. In terms of the timber, it doesn't really matter what timber that you use, because most of this is going to be covered up. And like the smokers that I've showed you previously, use timbers for things like hats and the noses that are feature timbers. So you want a pretty color timber for a hat because it's going to be seen, not exposed, not painted, anything like that. So most of the body's going to be painted, but most of the hat is going to be shown. So I'm going to use a prettier timber for the hat. Except in the case of our Viking, of course, we're going to embellish it with wood dye and chroma gilt. So we're going to do a lot of texturing to that one. So yeah, you mix around with using your scrap woods up and everything. So let's go 16 mil. I'm going to choose as my required length for this one. It's going to seem quite short, but that's the length that works for the fur. And if you have fur that's ultra long, then obviously 60 mil needs to be increased. But there we are. Look, you can see that this just protrudes from the underside, so you don't actually see the bottom. The bottom of the piece of timber is right there, so you can see that there's the length, which is perfect. So if you're wondering how to get your measurements, that's the way to get your measurements. Yes, Ben, we've got a question to start us off.
So lots of people talking about cutting up fur coats from thrift shops and things like that, taking off the collars and sleeves. Right. But we got a question here from Lizard Creations. Do we know what the Rockwell hardness is on our Axminster turning tools?
My honest answer is no, I don't. I could probably find out. So send the question in via Woodworking Wisdom. I can find out because I'll go straight to the manufacturers and they'll be able to tell me from there on. Is that what was the name of that person?
Lizard Creations.
Lizard Creations. Yeah, do that, Lizard Creations, and we'll find out for you. Fake fur. Don't tear up coats and things like that. Go to Tiny Turner's website. She's selling them at really great prices. And a mixture of different colors as well, like I say. Yes, Ben. If you want to know where that website is, it's in the links below, or it's just thetinyturner.com.
So question in from Edinator, asking about the airbrushes.
Yes.
Will it fit, the ones that you're going to be using today, will they fit in a standard compressor? Or will you be using a compressor especially for airbrushes? I'm using an airbrush compressor, but yes, they will start go in a regular compressor. All you will need to buy, and as a company, Axminster don't sell them at this stage, is an airbrush
regulator. So the airbrush regulator goes from, if you go from the compressor to the regulator, and then from the regulator to your airbrush, unless your compressor has a good enough regulator to go down to the pressure that it needs to. And I'm using between 25 and 40 psi. Okay. We're using SB50s, by the way. I've got my little airbrushes down here. So I'm using SB50s purely because, and I've just noticed I need some more black just in that little box beside you there. Just grab me the black in a minute. SB50, it's a suction fed little airbrush. We'll show you that in closer detail in a moment. But yes, just the mystery hand is just going to come and give me my ink. Thank you. There we are. So yeah, we'll go over airbrushes in a minute. Remember that question, I'll answer it again. Now all I'm doing here, I'm just giving myself a little bit of space. I'm then gonna just check that timber. There's a few splits in it, so I'm gonna check to make sure I'm not gonna take off anything I don't want to take off. And then we'll just give it a nice little curve down to what will be the top of our gonk. There we are. Just give them a little bit of shape. I think we're good to go there. This is how quick. Now, what I have said on the explanation to this video, that this is suitable for all abilities, and I completely stand by that. Look what we've done so far. We've just rounded a piece off. Doesn't matter how you do it. If you want to scrape it, scrape it. It makes no odds as long as you get to that same result. So there's a very, very simple shape. We're now going to sand it, and then we're going to part off. Or no, I'm going to part off, but I'm going to leave a little nib. And again, this is not mine; it's Emma's suggestion. Leave a little nib. You can then drill the hat, and you can join them together a little bit easier. I mean, don't have to just butt join together. You know, why not? Whatever you find easiest. But let's sand that. So I'm going to start with 100 grit. We're going to work our way through down to 400. I don't want to see any scratches at the end of this because, yes, I have said most of it's going to be covered up with the fur. However, there is some exposed. So 100 grit just does the job of taking away all the nasties. So things like tears, turning marks, anything like that. It just gives you a one true surface. I haven't said at all either. You know, welcome to all of the new viewers. If you haven't seen any of the videos yet, there's a huge library to watch. Welcome to all the new subscribers and first-time viewers, and of course welcome to all the regulars. I'm sure they're chatting away by now. Normally there's a nice lot of chat going on. Don't be afraid to get involved with the chat either, or ask questions. If there's something you don't understand, you can bet your life there's a few other people that are in the same situation. So ask questions. No question's a stupid question. There we are. That'll do us for the minute. Let's have a look at that. So there's a little bit of a split in the timber right here. That's going to be where I position the beard, so that doesn't get seen. Yes, Ben.
So a few questions in, Colin. First one from Jim B. He's just brought a set of the OD jaws, the O'Donnells.
Yes.
Do you know what the extra hole in it's for?
So in that case, Jim, you've bought the 50mm, the 2-inch. They're to hold inserts. So if you wanted to now, you can buy the inserts to do the job of a 112 and a 1-inch. So even though your external diameter isn't going to change, your internals and the other profiles will. So have a look online. So put O'Donnell inserts and you'll see what you can add to your existing jaw now.
Maria's asking, where's Jason? She hasn't seen him in ages.
Well, Jason's been busying himself away overseas for the last week. He's making a table at the moment, so you are going to see him. I think next week all Jason, or are you up there as well, Ben?
I think now it's Jason.
It's all Jason. So there we go. You're going to be gorged on Jason next week for the 2 sessions.
And then
I'm going to go on up north and go to the Harrogate show and say hello to everybody up there.
And then Lizard Creations is asking, when turning limbs with the pith in it, how do you keep them from cracking? Do you recommend a finish with a high iodine value or a recommended wood?
Different timbers are going to act in different ways, and different diameters of timber are going to act in different ways. If you're trying to turn a log which says 6 inches, 150 mil in diameter, you'll be very, very lucky if you turn that whilst it's wet or even dry without it splitting. However, if you take your limbs and dry them in long lengths, so 5 to 6 foot long, and let them fully dry out, especially those sort of 1 to 3 inch, then you'll still lose a little bit off of each end, but you will retain a lot from the inside. Not all timbers work that way. Some timbers will split badly. If you think about things like eucalyptus, don't even try and dry that. It's a nightmare. So that's for wet turning. Let it move. Let it become sort of really, sculptural in its finish. But yes, a lot of timbers work. So stand upright, let dry in long lengths, or rough turn and then let dry. Hollow forms work because you've taken a lot of the density out the center and they can move and sort of go oval as they dry.
Michael's asking when you're going to get some more carousel pins.
They're in stock. Are they not in? They're in. I've got some. I'll have a check if they've passed me by if they've gone out of stock, but I have some, so I'll sort that out this evening.
And then a question from Michael. How do you attach or hang your gouges to the wall, please?
So spring clips we've got here. These are literally spring clips. I get them from a local hardware store. And you can get them in about 3 or 4 different sizes, but they're just known as spring clips. Go online, any other the big wholesale companies online, you'll get them, but hardware stores really. Okay.
Yeah, and Fuller's here saying sometimes they're called broom clips.
Broom clips, yeah. They work really well.
And then a question from Woodmum Guitar. Can you show close up how to make the nose? Her noses are never really good.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Well, let's get this body off then in that case. I'm just going to do a little bit of parting there. I'm going to measure and drill my first drill hole. This is going to be for the nose in a minute. I just like to do this while it's on the lathe. It's just a little bit easier for me. And I'm going to give you a measurement because I know that's going to be your next question is how far down do you want that nose hole? Now, where was that crack? I'm going to position the nose near there. So I'm going to go ½ inch. I'm going to go imperial because 15 mil is a bit too much. So we're going to go 12 mil. So look, I'm going down. I don't know whether that's seen there. I'm going ½ inch down. So about 12 mil-ish. Then a little bradawl mark. Where have I done my bradawls on the wall? And then I'm going to drill the hole because it's nice and easy on the lathe. Look. Next question is going to be hole diameter. It doesn't matter. 6 mil, 5 mil. Really make much difference because we're going to turn the dowel to suit that hole as we go. So it's going to be turned live. So there we are. That's the first bit done. Let's part him off. Create our tenon. The hole that I'm going to use in the hat to join these 2 pieces together is this one. It is an 8.5, but 8, 9, 10. Whatever you want it to be. Again, it's not a critical measurement, so don't overthink it. Don't worry about it too much. Go imperial if you want to. Please don't worry about these being specific. None of this is a given size. There is not a national or even an international standard for gonk measurements. Saying that, I might be wrong. I don't know. maybe in Norway it's really quite serious and official what sizes you do your gonks. I don't know. Let's right down to the size of that drill bit. There we are. Pop. It's over. Right, that's it. So let's part that one off. Use a parting tool or a skew chisel, whichever you're more at home with. Okay, we're just going to part that off. So that was nothing difficult. That's going to sit nice and flat on my table now. So we'll just stop that. This bit of timber, bit we just finished, I'm going to use that again in a minute. So I'm just going to pop it to one side just for a couple of seconds whilst we turn. Let's turn the hat. So I'm going to make one of the Viking figures here, the little Viking. What I want to do for you first is just turn this hat, because I want to get some decoration on this. This is quite fun. They look quite funny. So I'm going to turn the hat next, and it has to be slightly bigger than the headlet. So we've got a definite overlap here. That's just to take the thickness of the fur that we've got on here. So we need a little bit bigger than what we have actually on here at the moment. So yes, Ben, whilst I'm doing that.
So a question from Edinator. Did you use a beading and parting tool for this piece? If so, which one? He'd never had a beading tool before, only a parting tool. Interested in getting one?
Oh, was it to part off? Yes. I part off in two ways. I'll either go with a beading and parting tool. Okay. So that's the top one here. So square section. This is my 6mm or 1/4 inch beading and parting tool. Or this is a 3mm, so 1/8 parting tool. It depends on the job really, but I wanted to do a tenon on this piece, so that's why I went for the wider 6mm piece. Also, the timber was very soft. It's only a piece of pine, so I didn't. I say only a piece of pine. It's a soft pine, so I didn't need to worry too much. That's why I use this one. I like beading and parting tools. When we were doing regular courses here, I was teaching bead forming with beading and parting tools. It's a little bit less intimidating to start with than the skew. And for rolling beads, just a little bit easier to get to understand, because there was no long point and a short point. So people didn't have that to worry about, which way up to put the tool, for instance.
And then a question from Catherine. She's asking, can you recommend a few essential tools for doing smaller detail work? She just started out and she wants to make some Christmas ornaments, but have only got the 6 chisels in the beginner's set.
That's fine. You could get away with 3, really. If you went for a spindle gouge, a parting tool, and a skew chisel, that you could get away with that if you want to do Christmas decorations. What I would add to those would be a roughing gouge, a round nose scraper, and the other one maybe a bowl gouge or something like a beading and parting tool. But if you wanted to go for 6, but you could get away with 3 for Christmas tree decorations. Yeah, no problem.
And then Frederick's asking, have you managed to turn any wall hangings yet?
Wall hangings, no, not yet. Apart from the fish ones that we done a few sessions ago. No. Do you know what, Frederick? When it comes to November, December, I'm absolutely rammed with Christmas themed things. My usual smokers, nutcrackers, carousels, and just promoting everything Christmassy here, especially as the run up to Christmas. We want to put Christmas themed ideas in, but like I said, I wasn't joking about my year is pretty much based around Christmas. It is part of what I do, my signature, really. So I'm working on the next book in the series, which is going to be about nutcracker making. So yeah, it's just Christmas, 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 which is not an issue in my house. Not in every household, I get that. So we're doing the little helmet now. Really, really simple this is. It's not a complicated bit of turning in any way. and it's a nice introduction into using things like the Chromacraft range, embellishing waxes. To do it, all we're doing is this a fairly simple dome with whatever tool you want. I'm using a bowl gouge here, but you could use a spindle gouge. You could scrape it. You could do whatever you want. There we go. So parting tool, I'm going to go about here. Okay, so that's just giving myself an idea where I'm going to finish this piece. So let's start putting a little bit of detail in. I just do a rim. And we'll do something up here. And then between that, I'm going to just recut that curve. There we are. So what we're doing, we're just highlighting these areas now. So you didn't think you'd get away with it. We're getting out one of the signature skews and we're just going to blend everything in. Now this is all embellishment. Those lines are nothing but a part of decoration. I'm going to go to my little texturing tool. This is the crown texturing tool. Don't want that moving. Okay, now this timber is not supposed to be, well, it's not the timber you would naturally pick for this sort of thing. So it's going to tear up. That is not a problem. Now, this is looking really gnarly at the moment, so it's good. Now, I'm going to use a couple of punches. I want to use something you might see on an old helmet. It's going to be very basic design, so don't go for pretty patterns. Go for basic ones. And I'm just going to do a couple of little, let's go for some, just some little diamonds around. We had a blackout, Ben. So look, oh, I'm moving in the chuck. Let me just tighten my chuck back up again. Soft timber, you see, it wants to move around everywhere. So I'll just pop that back in. Now, you may not see this very well, but in a minute, when we start putting color, and more importantly, the chroma gilt on, then you'll see things start popping. So this is some little diamonds. So where would you get this sort of idea, or the practice with this sort of thing? Think to the Nick Agar Viking Sunset Bowl. I demonstrated that a few weeks ago as well. This is the punches that we use on the outside of the bowl. I'm going to use the same technique on this to give it that metal effect as we used on the Viking Sunset Bowl as well. So let's go, in fact, let's go back with that little diamond. No, we won't. Let's go with a star. Look. And I'll just do a few around this top edge. And one more. There. Right, so pop those back. I'll tighten that chuck up again. Now, all I'm going to do at this stage, give it a fine sand. So let's go 240 just to denib, really. Get it in there. Then get a little brass brush just to burnish. There. Now we want to get this sort of metal effect going. So let me give myself a little bit of room. I just want to create a bit of room where I'm going to part off, get it down a little bit further now, because we're not going to do any more turning to this. I can take away a lot more timber. There we are. So that's out our way now as we start doing the colouring. So I'm going to go for a black. Yeah, a black. Got a little bit. Let's just fill that ink up a second. Just want to get ink everywhere. 2 seconds, everybody. So we're going to go for a black to start us off. And then we're going to use the Viking silver chroma gilt on top of it. Okay. And try not to make a catastrophic mess. Yeah. There we are, a little bit of black. Get the lid going. Wipe your fingers. So yeah, we're going to cover that with ink. Now, we were talking, weren't we, a minute ago about airbrushes. So I've got a SP50, which is a suction-fed airbrush. And I'm using a little... Making Ben work now. Little airbrush compressor, that one there. No chamber on it, so it's a continual running. Nice and quiet though. You won't even hear it going. I'm going to have the dust extractor run. I just want to take away the excess from me. And if you're worried about your chuck and your lathe and things like that, cover it up. And we're going to get the lathe running, not too fast. And I want to just cover everything. That'll do us. We can go back down there. There we are. So we got the whole thing covered in black now. Ben, can you go to camera 2? Please. There we are. You can sort of see the shining there. You can sort of see that there is some decoration on there. Airbrush color should go on dry. If you get a lot of bleed, you're putting too much on at once. So make sure it's little and often. Yes, Ben, questions.
So we had a couple of questions about the punches. I've put the part number in the chat now, so
well done.
That should be easy to find.
Well done.
We've got a question here.
They're in stock, by the way, those punches now.
Yeah, we've got those. So Chris is asking, going back in time, Colin, did you did a off-center Christmas tree between centers?
Yes.
You then airbrushed the cuts you made with a green paint.
Yes.
It's rewatched the video, but can't catch if the green was a spirit stain or if it was a paint.
Pretty much everything I use is spirit. There are a few occasions when I'll go for a palette wood dye, which is a water-based one. But most of the time it's spirit stain. The reason I go with spirit stain is because it lasts in my airbrushes for a long time, and I'm talking months. I've had chroma craft stains in my airbrushes now for over a year. And every now and again, because I'm using them a lot, every now and again I'll just go and do a little bit of maintenance, but they pretty much won't dry out unless you leave them for months on end without using them. Then they're going to be good to go. And
I think that answers Pascal's question as well about if it's a spirit stain. A question from Edinator: would the patterns and punch marks respond well to some of the coloured waxes used to fill grain in bowls?
They would do. They would do. Yeah, so they're going to fill up. What you might end up doing, though, if you're going to do that, really sand well before so you get a really good finish. Choose timbers that don't have a massive grain structure also. It wouldn't work on this sort of thing because you're going to see grain from this. And so where you're trying to fill those holes. So, yeah, so you put it on, wipe it off, that sort of thing. This works quite well because the chroma gilt picks up high spots, not the low. So with embellishing waxes, they're designed to fill grain. Chroma gilt is trying to highlight the high grain. So it's a slightly different way of working, you know. But yeah, absolutely. The punches work well. Just do your prep first. Make sure you sand down well. So what we're going to do here. Yeah, sorry, Ben, you go for it.
No, I was just going to say, not sure if the punches are going to be at Harrogate. We could potentially give someone a nudge to take a set. And then there was another one here. Well, Bob P, we're not sure when the stay put extraction hose is going to be back in stock. We'll find out and let you know.
Yeah, we can find that out and let you know straight away, Bob. All right, look what we're doing. Look how those marks are now jumping. Okay, so what I'm doing is not putting too much on. Don't load too much on your glove, and just little and often. If you put a load on, what you'll do is you'll fill up those voids that you're trying to highlight. So just very gentle over the surface. Don't be impatient. Just a very, very light touch. And it gives a tremendous little metal effect. So this is the Viking Silver Chroma Gilt. There we go. And the more layers you put on, the heavier the silver effect will become. So do lots of light layers, and then you just build the depth of color rather than fill those voids. But for us, this is going to be enough here. What are you laughing at? What are they saying on there?
Fuller was just saying, remind Colin not to touch his nose.
You saw me a minute ago. I went to scratch my nose and I realised I got ink on it. Yeah.
A question here from Jenny. Sorry, Jenny, I did miss that one. It went up in the chat. Last week, Colin, on the bells, what was the size of the scraper that you used on the inside?
On the acrylic, if it was the acrylic, it was this one right here, still in the handle. So that was its width. To me, it's a 1/4 inch. It's a 6 mil, 1/4 inch scrape, and that was our little round nose, the little micro tool, which goes into the micro handles.
And then Kingsboard's asking, with the airbrushing, what's the finest grit size you would go to? Was it P400?
For this, so I went to 400 with that one. Generally, sort of 240, 320 works well. It depends on the effect you want. With Spirit Stain also, you can go in, get fairly good penetration, but 400 is absolute max. As soon as you start going to 600, 800, and much above that, you know, it will still soak. It'll go onto the top layer, but sometimes you get a little bit of beading start to occur. So yeah, about 400, but still get rid of the scratches. So you might just have to stay a little bit longer on each grit size, that sort of thing.
And Roy's the boy is asking, are they paints? So he missed what the silver was.
Silver is Viking Silver Chroma Gilt. Okay. Chroma Gilt is a different product than embellishing waxes. It's not a wax at all. This is designed to go on the top surface rather than penetrate into. So it's highlighting the high points as opposed to filling voids. It's really, really good because it's certainly a lot quicker drying than a lot of the embellishing waxes. And once that's sealed in, it just won't come off. It's great stuff. and available in so many different colors as well. And we're doing quite a few of these, the metal effect colors, but we're also doing the pearlescence now as well from Chromacraft.
And Fuller's just asking, who's the vendor for Chromacraft in the US? I guess it's
Chromacraft. Yeah, Chromacraft. Go on their website. You can order direct from them. A lot of other retailers stock it in the US, but go straight. If you're going mail order, go straight to them.
So cool. Lots of interest on the gilt cream.
Excellent.
Do the gilts set hard, or do you protect them with something after?
Yeah, so protect them. So what we tend to put over the top is a urethane finish. So that just covers it, seals it, locks it all in. But you do that after you've put your multiple layers on the top. And again, if you go to Chromacraft on our website, if you're in the UK, you'll see the urethane lacquer, which can be put on via an airbrush as well, by the way.
And we've got a question here. They have a 305 benchtop lathe, which they love. It has rubber feet. Is there a kit for mounting it permanently
to a bench? No. Jason's just done a video on one of the new benchtop machines where it shows how to create a baseboard. Basically, all you're going to do to a baseboard is take your rubber feet off and then mark out the holes. So mark your positions of the holes and then use bolts through that and then clamp it onto a bench. So you bolt through and into the lathe, making sure you've done your relief holes on the bottom of your plate. And then all you do is just use some F-clamps and clamp it down. Then you can move it around. If you want to use your bench space, you can put it underneath, for instance. So that's what we would do. I'm going to part this off now. So all the way. There we are. So you can see what I mean. You got those lovely effects. Guys, if you haven't seen or heard of Chromacraft, like I say, if you're in this country, check out online, because I've done a couple of videos, one doing the Viking Sunset Bowl, which uses this little technique in far greater detail. If you're in the US, Chromacraft themselves, Nick Agar, he's got a huge amount of videos and inspirational photos on his website, on his Instagram and stuff as well. So it's a great product, and not just Chroma Gilt, but all the stains and other products that they do. So it's a really nice nice product, nice range of products. I use them an awful lot. There we go. But there's our little helmet. What I'll do now is just nip that little pip away, and we're just going to very briefly, without cutting myself, just going to make a little hole in the bottom. And just to keep my hands safe, I'm going to use the bench, and I'm going to do this off the camera. So just bear with me, everybody. But basically, I'm putting just a little drill bit in here. There's a little hole in my bench, and I'm going to position the helmet over that and drill down through. So 2 seconds. Just didn't want to get my fingers anywhere near that drill bit. That should fit over the top. So there we are. Okay. We are ready for our nose and everything. So let's turn the nose now before we start thinking about any of that fur. I want to do the little helmet. We've done that. I want to do the little shield. Let's quickly do it now for you whilst we've got this bit of scrap wood on. Don't make them too big. This is just a suggestion of a little shield. Right. Now I've done that, I'm going to clean that surface. We are just a little bit of abrasive on there, but you know, just this is not a set thing. This is just a little bit of decoration. I'm going to do a long tenon in this. We're going to put a little bit of decoration on the front as well. So let's go back with our little cutter. Come on, move. Now this is a sword, and it's had a few swipes by another tribe. So let's give it a couple of swipes. That's going to come out with our embellishing in a minute. That's exactly the same way. I'm not going to do the little hammer for you today, Thor's hammer. But that would be exactly the same way we get all the little cuts and marks in this little fella here. So all of these marks, this is the end of a rule. This is a couple of little sanding marks here. And I've just taken a couple of chisels to it and just beating it around a little bit. And then that embellishing really picks those marks out. So parting tool, I'm going to go 1/8 parting tool here, just because I want a slightly better cut than previous. There we are. Now, once I've done the initial cut, I've relieved it a little bit. Then I can go back with a bigger tool. We're going to measure the drill again. So I need my set of calipers. And this is going to hold on to, or be joined to the body with a tenon again. So let's size the tenon. There we go. And then we're a little bit of abrasive, a little bit of, there we are, a little bit of wire brush. We'll spray that, so lower speed, extraction on. There we are, that'll do. Show you what that looks like now. What I'm going to do something slightly different. Let me just get my gloves out in the wrong way, right way again. So what I'll do now, where with the helmet we had it stopped, I'm not going to be as fussy with this shield here. I'm going to turn it on at slow speed-ish. I'm still going to put just a sparing amount of chroma gilt on my finger. Not too much, remember. And I'll just do this with it running. There we go. That's the effect I want. A great little sword swipe there that we made with the rule. I'll part this off in a minute and show the camera a little bit. There we are. You can see it nicely there. Great little sword swipe. Yes, Ben.
So Ednate is asking, should the spiraling cutters be lubricated ever?
No, I don't. What I don't do, I don't lubricate them. But what I do is give them a little sand every now and again, maybe on a diamond card, because the inside of this little holder here, that can sometimes get burred with friction. So just give that a little bit of a clean up. Okay, make it sort of glazy, and then the same with the sides of your cutter. Do exactly the same thing, and that'll keep them running nicely. So every now and again, it gets a little bit sticky, and that might be as simple as resin and stuff build up on the inside. So we've got to clean them regularly. Go on.
And then Mike's asking, did you just use your signature skew as a hammer?
No, you didn't see. I didn't pick my skew up. I went for one of the standard skews. You see, I wouldn't do that because my signature skews have a lovely rolled edge to make them flow across the tool rest nicely. This one's a sharp edge.
And then Jenny's likes the way that you turned your glove inside out. That was very good. So the Sleeping Dog's asking, between the spiraling and texturing tools, aside from the price tags, is there any main advantages or disadvantages between the standard and mini version?
There is a big difference in the texture. The bigger wheels that you get for the bigger texturing tool is very, very big compared to the small one. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go for the small one personally, but that suits my work. If you're doing lots of bigger bowls, then or hollow forms, that sort of stuff, then maybe go for the bigger one. But you can get some real big spurs for the bigger texturing tool. And
then Martin's asking, can you get a similar effect with the decorating elf?
No, you can't. Decorating elf is more for end grain, box lids, that sort of stuff. You can't get this lovely little dotting around the edge with the decorating elf very easily at all. Lots of little spiral effects, that sort of thing. Great for pens, great for small project, but it's not really made for that type of job, you know. Just if there's any questions, just keep asking. I want to just make a measurement. So we're going to have, now I have got a piece of fur cut, but don't worry, I'm going to cut another piece for you as well. So I've cut this already, and I don't know whether you can see that on number 3, maybe, Ben, there. Lovely. So it's cut in a sort of a V shape. That's to give that beard effect. You can completely wrap all the way around if you wish, but we're just going to have the beard effect. So all I'm doing, look, I'm just going to position that so centrally to the nose, and I'm going to offer them up. I want a position where I can drill a hole for the shield. So all I'm going to do, I can get rid of that there. All I'm going to do is pop that round, hold it, get my pencil, mark a little hole. Let's come down, down a little bit about there. Right, that's that. Just going to go off camera again quickly to drill this. So 2 seconds. I'll come back. Literally, look. So we have the nose hole, then of where I position that one. So that means then that will just go straight in. That can be on top. Okay, so in a minute, what we've got here is going to be hidden with the fur. Okay, so we've got position for our little shield. So really, really, I'm going to keep saying it's really, really easy. Nose is the next thing, I reckon. So let's go with a slightly different jaw set. Take my small little chuck off. I'm going to go with a 1-inch set of jaws, and we're going to go with the O'Donnell's. Go with the pen jaws, the pin jaws maybe. I'm going to go with O'Donnell's. Go a little bit of something pale. I just fancied something pale. This is a piece of lime. So who was asking the questions about nose forming? Whoever that was, here we go. This is a ball, basically. Don't be too conservative with your nose forming. The bigger the nose, the bigger the character. Let's go with Get rid of my bowl gouge a minute. Obviously, we're going to have a not obviously, but we are going to have a combination now between skew and spindle gouge. So down to cylinder. Down the cylinder, and then we're going to start rolling. I'm going to drop the tool rest of fraction, roll the curve over, come back the other side. Now I'm going to start a little ways away from where I want to end up. Each cut I'm traveling back towards the top of the curve, look. And at any time, this can be corrected, because what I can do, if I think that this face here is a little bit too pointed, I can just come back and take a little bit more away, just to round it over. Same on the back. There we go. Once you've done that, we've got to create a tenon. Now remember, the tenon on this one was a lot smaller. So I did that little bit up there. So I'll measure that drill bit. So we used, let me just check. Yeah, we used this little fella here. I'm making it slightly undersized as well, because it makes it a lot easier when you add a little bit of glue and you've got the fur beard over your character. Making this tenon a bit smaller makes it a lot easier to join together, because you'll inevitably get little bits of that fur creep into the hole that you've drilled. And so if you've got it too precise, it's a struggle to get in. And at that point, you don't want it to be a struggle, because the nose goes on after the beard, and you'll end up pulling the beard out of shape if you're struggling and struggling with it, you know. So a little bit under, and that's just something I've picked up just by practicing these. You always find little problems, little errors that you can, or little difficulties that you can make a bit easier when you practice, which is all turning is. Just how many hours you put into it. There we are. That should be all right, I think. Let's just have a check. Yeah, as long as it's scratch free. This is one of your feature timbers. This will be seen, so it's important to get this scratch free. There we are. Pop him away. The minute I put this on the character, look, you'll see, or minute I put this on the, let's go camera 2 if you would, Ben, please. There we go. You can start to see it come to life a little bit. You're now starting to see that, okay, we're getting there. We're going to look like a little figure. I get that. So let's think about the beard next. So I'm going to put everything to one side. Make sure that I can be seen on camera. I'm going to go for, I've seen people use hot melt glue on this, super glues and all those sorts of things. I just found the easiest way to do it with more open time would be an impact adhesive. So something like this one's an Evo stick, but this one for me works because it's nice and liquid, but as soon as you've applied it once, you put it on, take it back off again and reapply. It's bonded. It's really quite quick. So it's quite good stuff to use for that. Yes, Ben, before I go beard gluing.
So we've got a question here for Royce the Boy. What's the size of the nose?
Size of the nose? Ooh, let's measure.
The bigger the better, you said, wasn't it?
Bigger the better. Bigger the better as long as it doesn't impede the hat. So the bigger your nose, the lower you're going to have to put it. And in this case, nose is 20 mil, 3/4 of an inch. Right then, so I'm going to grab my piece of material. Let's just very quickly show you this. This is a tip that I took from Emma's video herself. She explains how important it is to cut this correctly, because if we just go and cut like that, we're going to cut all of these fibers away. So you need to poke. Look, I've got a thin section of scissor down here. I'm just going to poke this in and up through the fibers. Let's go a little bit bigger there, so I keep and retain the long fibers and I don't start cutting things away. So up. All right, I'm going against the grain, so let's pull that away. And what you should end up having, look, you can see there's lovely long fibers left. If you didn't do what I've just done, those would be chopped off if you just literally go, okay, so you want a tiny little cuts, and then you can retain all of that beard. All right, so that's one. I've already got one prepped up here and ready. What I'm going to do, and again, sometimes it can be quite a lot of dead sections on the back of this beard here, so just clean it off a little bit. I'm going to, before I do that, we need to make room for the nose. Okay, you can't push the nose through material, so I'm going to guess where center is to do the same thing. What I'm doing is just a little cross in the middle. Get rid of more fingers and thumbs here. Yeah. Get the lid on that before it flies everywhere. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to grip, make sure I've got no glue on my fingers. Grip the fur, position. You can take that helmet off a minute. Position the slit over the hole. Let it fall. And then you can start adjusting. Don't worry too much right at the beginning. Start adjusting. I'm not watching the camera. Ben, go to number 2. You've got a bigger view. Would you, please? That's good. Once you're happy with where it is, then you can start patting it down. I'm going to find that little nose hole. It should be here somewhere. There it is. And don't twist. Again, I found out the hard way. If you twist the nose on, then you start lifting that fur. So I'm pushing. All the shavings. Got one more thing to add. Let's add his little shield. There we go. Got a nice little Viking with his shield. What I would do now is, again, let me just grab the other one just to show you something. On the other one, I would add the hand. So again, let's just have a quick look at that hand. So I've done the same thing on here as I've done to the the shield. Little tenon, but include on this, in this time, include a little wrist, so slightly larger tenon, then the ball, and then drill through. And this is 6mm dowel that I've got here, and the Thor's hammer's head is just sanded to shape. I still have one thing to show you though, and that is how to make these Viking horns. Okay, so that's the one last thing to do before we finish our little gonk. Yes, Ben, questions?
So we've got a question here. Where are we? Oh, Woodmum Guitars asking, well, it says it has a Sorby Pro Edge system, and sometimes don't know if the tools are quite sharp. What's your opinion on the Sorby Pro Edge?
As a machine, it's a nice machine. As Axminster, we do our own version of that machine. I'm not a Linishing fan when it comes to sharpening. I'm either things like Tormek, so the whetstone sharpening system, or CBN. I'm a massive fan of slow speed CBN. So the closest thing I can get to a Tormek type of finish, especially if you go fine 180 grit. Very little heat, very few sparks, and lasts for ages, literally. And they can be put on a regular bench grinder as well. So my preference is CBN or Tormek. And jigged up versions, yes.
And then Frederick's saying that it might be worth mentioning not to use a CA glue as it can ruin the job.
Okay. Well, if you got experience with it, then Frederick, then there we go. I guess the reason, especially if they're thinner ones, is they seep through the material and it clogs up the material, and it will get everywhere. So that contact adhesive, it's sort of made for that sort of job, really. So my preference by far, I'm setting up for horns as I'm doing questions, so you go for it. And I'm aware that I'm massively over time on this one, so I do apologize, everybody.
Jenny's just saying, could you put the nose in first?
You can, Jenny, but it's just awkward then to put the fur on, because putting the fur on with the glue on it already is a little bit awkward. So adding that extra thing and trying to get it tucked in around the nose is just a little bit of a task, really. It's not easy. It's definitely the easiest way around. But like I said, make sure that you do your tenon slightly undersized. So if you're going to do a 6mm hole, for instance, do a 5.5 tenon. And actually, it holds in there. Well, you can see how well it's held in there. All right. Have I got time for a quick set of horns, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
So quick, true up. There we go. I'm going to use, Ben, bead forming tool back there, and the captive ring tool, please. Black handle. Bead forming tools around rest. Got it. And yeah, that's the start. And then the next size up from that, please. And the captive ring tool. Lovely. Well, I'll start with this one. So once I've started that, no, captive ring. So it's like a little hook.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, mate. Whee! We'll do another one. If you weren't awake before that, then probably awake now. There's a split running through this bit of timber here, so it's causing me a few issues. I'm going to try one more, guys. If this doesn't work, well, we got that far. Here we are. I've got our captive ring. What I want to do now is break it. And we're going to, oh, poor old gnome up here is getting covered in dust. Break it and I'm going to re-sand. I want to do one cut with a little saw. I've got to put my disc on here. We're going to sand this to shape now. So, put the Viking down a minute. The little sanding disc. Dust extraction, obviously a must. And take my little V block. Where are we in terms of camera? So a little, that's better, Ben, thank you. Put it there. I'm just going to cut through. There we are. So we can break that one in half. So we've got 2 sets of Viking horns there. Dust extractor on. So what we want to do with each of these halves is we're going to round the top over a little bit more than it is. So right to a point. And then bring the outside in. I'll present this to camera in a second. So 1/2 of our horn. Making sure they're roughly the same length. There we are, that's it. Turn that extractor off. So we've got, where's the camera? There we are. So we've got our 2 little Viking horns, okay? A little bit more work needs to be done on those, sand them out and so on. But keep on that camera, Ben, if you would. I'm just going to try and present this to camera in a way that everyone can see. I just need to drill a couple of little flats on the horn itself, just so the glue will take. And to glue these on, I just go for a butt joint with epoxy resin glue. Let me get the camera. There we are. We've got that lovely little horn set up this way. All right. So sand a couple of little flats with the same disc. I'll quickly do that just to show you. Don't go too mad. Just enough to take off the wax. Not the wax, the chroma gilt. There we are. So look, you can see it's just a little relief, and that'll glue on there. The glue's got something to hold on to then if you do that. Okay, so let's pop that on. Turn that off. See if I can hold this in a way that everybody can see the finished piece. But what a bit of fun, you know? There we are. Ben, you tell me where to go. All right, with his own little Viking shield there. So real fun, those little characters. Massive thank you to Emma, the tiny turner. Get to her website if you want to make one of these yourselves. She's got, like I say, all the beards, all the bits, timber kits and all those sorts of things. Check out the video that she's done. If you're in Harrogate next week, I'll be there on the Saturday just mingling around with the rest of you. She's got her own stand there as well, so you can buy them face to face. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's right on my street, this sort of project, because it's creating characters and multi-piece turning. So if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget, of course. Have we got any questions before we go, Ben?
There are a couple of questions. where are we here? Do Axminster do the large sheets of Velcro for the sanding disc?
Yes, we do. So heavy duty hook and loop. If you put that in, you can buy it by the meter, and it's 100 mil by 1 meter. So then you cut it to whatever size you want, small, big, whatever, and then you can suit it to the discs, sanding discs that you buy. So wherever you buy them from, you could go for something like a power tool sanding disc, or you can go right up to the sort of 8, 10, 12-inch sanding disc if you can get them with a hook and loop system.
And then what's the Gonk's name?
Oh, this one's got dark hair, isn't it? So this one was probably Ben. This is going to be a Ben. And we've got to think of a Viking Ben name. Ben the Brutal. Thank you ever so much, guys. Oh, we've got another question.
Just lots of great demos. Thanks very much, Colin. Really enjoyed it and all that, you know.
Lovely. Okay, well, look, thank you ever so much for watching. And like I said, give us a thumbs up. You know what? I say it all the time. Share and like and all those sorts of things. Now, Thursday, what are we doing? What's today? Tuesday, Thursday. What's on the schedule for Thursday, Ben?
Thursday is Jason again. He's I think he's doing, is he doing a lantern?
The lantern, not the Chinese lantern. When are you doing your calendar? You've done your calendar.
We've done the Advent one.
Yeah.
That's all
escaping. Christmas is pickling my mind. Guys, thank you very much. Until next time, enjoy and thank you for watching. And thank you for being patient. It's 4:20. See you again. Bye-bye.